Hey, did anyone notice that we had an election this week? I mean, I don't know. Did we have an election? We did have an election. Do we have a fair and balanced and honest election? Okay, that's another story. Well, we, on election eve or election night, after the polls closed, AviGayle and I, for the most part, were up until about 1:30 in the morning. And at that point, President Trump was like 800,000 votes ahead in Pennsylvania. A couple 100,000 in Georgia, something like that, or 100,000 in Georgia. North Carolina was way ahead. Michigan was up by like 250,000 votes by the time we went to bed. Wisconsin was already projected to be the winner, Biden, by not many extra votes, by maybe 10,000 or something like that. So what happened when we woke up? Well, we kept on, see, and this is the tactics of the Democrats. Because I even remember this in the 2016 election when at the time of the votes, the one polling night, the end, what do you call it? The poll closed, and they went into the night, and at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever, I believe there was 5 Republican Congress people in California that were ahead, but they kept on not wanting to call it, not calling it, and it took weeks, and each one of those that were ahead on election night lost. All 5 of them, 5 for 5. So we have an interesting situation here that 140 something million votes were cast. That's like 20 plus million more than 2016. But were they all legitimate? Were they all legal? What was some of the places hiding? Like Pennsylvania wouldn't allow Republican poll observers to go in and observe them counting. What were they hiding? Michigan, Wisconsin, even, in different places. So now we come to a place where, again, the media projects Biden being the winner, and now everyone's calling him president-elect, and he's going through the motions of what president-elects do. He gave his speech. President Trump has not conceded. There's a lot going on, and we even heard some things this morning that was encouraging, and if they're true, encouraging if they're true. Like all the mail-in ballots were produced, in my understanding, produced by the federal government, and the federal government actually put a watermark on the ballots, which could not be duplicated. So if in fact somebody created new ballots, they wouldn't have those watermarks on them, so they would be false ballots and illegal ballots. And supposedly Attorney General Barr, which we have not heard from at all, is behind the scenes with the National Guard being going to different states. I believe I heard 12 states, which is interesting. To do something. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. But Jamie, you're usually on top of this kind of stuff. So what have you been hearing?
Well, what you're talking about is they have a quantum financial system that has been put in place versus our SWIFT system, which is a blockchain system that cannot be penetrated. Now that's been going on for several years. We've been putting that in place. Well, along with that, President Trump and his party, they decided that they would make sure the voter system would have the same type of blockchain quantum system to be able to watermark the ballots so that you could not counterfeit. Every ballot would have an identification that was only to one person, one state, one, that you know exactly where it came from. And so all this was done months and months ago. Months ago, they planned this. This is the biggest thing that has ever happened in the history of the world. And what they did is they let them all fall in place, and they have fallen for this, and they've got all these things out there, and they're going to be exposed, and they have a scientific system that's been approved by the DHS. When they finish, this has already been established. You'll see 80% of the vote for Trump. It's unbelievable how big a sting this is.
So,
So we'll see.
that is very interesting. I've not heard a lot. I'm going to put you on mute for a second. I have not heard a lot about that until just recently. I mean, we obviously understood that President Trump, from months and months and months ago, was always bringing up that these mail-in ballots, were going to be a field day for corruption, a field day for fraud, and we understood that could happen very easily, with either tampering with ballots or as California sent out ballots. Nobody requested them. They just sent them out to every single registered voter, supposedly. And, so what, I mean, how many of those, people voted in person and people, sent in ballots, who knows about that kind of stuff. But when you do that massive amount of mail-in ballots, that's going to create obviously a lot of havoc. And I'm just wondering if the numbers too, the registered voters compared to how many votes were cast in like Pennsylvania, or Georgia or North Carolina or Michigan, do they even line up? Because a lot of times, like in California, there was X amount of voters, and then there was X amount of registered voters, and then that plus 10% voted. I mean, how does that happen? Type of thing, except through fraud. So AviGayle,
fraud. And the thing is, President Trump knew this years before. I mean, he called it out, and it's always been stirring in my heart that this is not going to be a legal process. This is going to be the mob that is going to try to manipulate the voting, as we saw on those videos that we have received in the last couple of days. And I sent them out to a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that know what's going on, that's happening. And so there's a lot of down and dirty manipulation of this voting process. And it's so down and dirty that I'm so thankful that finally the Attorney General is in on this. I'm thankful that he's in on it, and he has people that are, it's not just overseeing something, it's actually investigating. It's actually investigating what's going on. And to me, it's very sad to see this kind of evil, these kind of tactics taking place. And again, I sent it out to a lot of different people. I sent them all this information, and Joe is she's typing everything that I sent. I sent it to her too. I sent it to a lot of different people, and it's a very, very it's a system that is working in and through. A genius did this system. A genius did this system. And another genius is evaluating this system, that has set up this system that is, it's a I don't know if it's electronic or it's called the hammer. The hammer, that's one of the systems, the hammer. And then there's another.
Yeah, I think it was created. I mean, I heard that it was created after 9/11.
After 9/11.
And it was by the CIA. I understand. I could be wrong, but I believe the CIA.
No, you're right. There's the general's name. He's the Air Force general. He's retired.
Yeah,
McInerney.
Right. And He's been involved with the hammer,
Yeah.
and they use the hammer. What it is, it's a computer. That's a different thing than what we're talking about, the quantum financial system, or the quantum, the quantum voting system that they're counting the votes. The hammer literally changes the electronic count. Like if you have 3,000, and they've already found this for Trump, and then all of a sudden they electronically change to Biden.
But that is what the attorney general is investigating. He's not just counting the going for the investigating of the ballots. He is investigating the hammer and then and that system there that has actually eliminated the President Trump's votes. So there's a system that is really trying to distort the legal aspect of voting. I mean, it's a distortion that is so dark and so deceptive, and but it's being exposed. It's being exposed, and I'm very thankful because again, there's so many people now that have someone actually, if you want to do some research too on it, someone sent me something this morning, and I sent it off to a lot of people, and I'm sure you received it. But let me see if I can find it. Okay, where am I? While I'm looking for it. Oh, here it is. Right here. Let me just get it because this is something that you should do your due diligence and check it out. It is. Okay, it's called Breaking News. New reason to believe Trump wins. And it is, you can go to revivaltoday.com and you can check it out there. Yeah, or revivaltoday on your YouTube. And there is somebody there that has exposed something, and it's a fact what's happening. It's a fact that there are people that's being exposed and being, again, it's not just counting or overlooking the ballots. It's actually down and digging in to the corruption that has taken place.
Well, the interesting thing too is and you might know this better than I do, Jamie, but there was something like 230,000 ballots that came in. I think it was Pennsylvania. I mean, because remember, Pennsylvania, President Trump was 850,000 votes ahead in Pennsylvania on election night. About 1:30 when I went to bed, he was ahead that much. But then, within the next day or two, there was like 230,000 votes that came in, and all of them, every single one of them, 230,000, I think it was Pennsylvania, went to Biden. I mean, is that even mathematically possible to have that many votes all at once and all be for one candidate and not the other? Not even 70-30 as they've been saying. He's been getting on the mail-in ballots. He's been getting a 70-30 percentage or something like that. Biden to President Trump. So so that they're not even, if that's true, they're not even making. They're not even trying to hide some things. They're just trying to steal it outright, and they know they have the media backing. They have probably a lot of the politicians backing them. And all that kind of thing, and they won't say anything to bring. And they probably, one of the reasons is if this thing gets brought back into the Trump camp, which I hope it does, it'll, believe me, with the media against us, with the politicians against us, with everything that's against us, there will be a lot of rioting.
But guess who's for us? The creator of heaven and earth is for us. Our king is for us. And that's the most important thing. And the bottom line is a lot of people recognize what the Republicans, when they heard that Biden, is that his name? No, Biden. Biden. Is that his name? I can't remember the guy that was running against President Trump. Is it Biden? Is it Biden, Jamie? Who was it that was running against President Trump?
Biden.
Oh, Biden. Biden. Hayden Biden? Is he Hayden Biden? Well, he's not hiding anymore, okay? He's not hiding anymore. And he's doing a dance and running down the victory trail. But you notice the Republicans didn't do anything that was lawless. They didn't have any riots in the street. They didn't try to harass people. They didn't try to burn down property and destroy people's property and business. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. So, so the bottom line is, so the bottom line is we see the character and integrity of the Republicans. And we see the character and the integrity of the Republicans that they want to get to the root of this. They want to get to the source of this. And this is the difference between lawful people and lawless people. A lawful person will come against lawlessness and will try to search it out. And guess what they are looking for? Evidence. They're looking for evidence. That's another thing that's never shown up in the Democratic. They tried to impeach a president, President Trump, with no evidence. No evidence, but yet they wanted to impeach him. I thought you're guilty until proven innocent. I mean, innocent. I'm sorry, innocent until proven guilty. And now that I'm really getting. Thank you.
See, that was
yeah, that was backwards.
That was the backwards thing.
Yeah, you're innocent until being proven guilty, but there has to be some what? Evidence. But they spent almost 3 years holding President Trump and spending lots of money trying to just put on this show of lies. I mean, who is the father of lies? Let's just think about this. If we're on a spiritual level, who's the father of lies? Yeshua called it out. And who's the father of truth? And whose father are we serving? What father are we serving? We're serving the father of truth. And so I just think that, I don't go with the thing that the media is holding the
gavel.
Thank you. I'm looking for my husband. He's looking at me like I'm going to.
No, I think your son Brian. He says, let's talk about Moses.
We are talking about Moses, Brian. We're talking about law. We're talking about law. The one that gave the law, that received the law from the creator of heaven and earth was Moshe. And he had to fight against lawlessness with an oppressive Pharaoh. He had to fight against an oppressive Pharaoh that put the Israelites under oppression. And that's what we are doing. We're fighting a spiritual battle, and we are fighting. This is lining up perfectly with the Pasha reading. And you talk to any rabbis today, and they'll tell you this is a lawless act to try to put oppression on people. And they did a good job. They did a good job for 4 years. Yeah, the gavel. So I'm just saying, I'm stirred in my heart that we have to bring righteousness to the surface.
Amen to that. Amen to that. It's true. And when we do talk about righteousness and unrighteousness, we are talking about Moses, because Moses was a righteous man. He brought forth the Torah, which is righteous, from the Father. He heard and he wrote it down, and he enacted laws that were just and fair and that the Father gave to him.
And if we're for the people, if we're for righteousness for the people, we don't sit back and let unrighteousness say, "Oh, well, they won, so let's just we don't retreat. We don't retreat. Moshe didn't retreat. He stood strong. And when he said to Yahweh, he said, "Who do I say sent me? I am sent you." So we have to do this for the sake to preserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Amen. Amen. Any final things, Mr. Jamie?
No, I think this is great. We're going to have a wonderful week. We're going to see wonderful things. And this Torah portion that we're starting to get into is a great reminder of our Yeshua, what the whole story is all about. The whole story is all about Yeshua and about the Word and about God. So, that's what's exciting. We get to see this unfold, right? We're living in a time where it's unfolding not only in the Torah portions, but right before our eyes in history. What a time to be alive. Let's have fun.
Amen to that. So,
As long as we're living, Jamie, the key is, are we alive and living? Are we standing? Are we standing for righteousness? Are we standing? Are we standing up for righteousness, or are we just living, saying, "Let me just take my little position on the couch and be a couch potato"? Or are we going to be voices of righteousness?
well, that's it. We need to be voices of righteousness.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.